I have been living in my apartment for a year and a half now, and in that time, I have done countless renter-friendly DIYs to transform my space from making it feel like something temporary into something that feels like home. So in this video, I'm sharing my top renter-friendly DIYs, tips, and hacks to help you transform your space. Hi, I'm Alli and welcome to my channel. We have a lot to cover in this video, so let's get right into the first project. This is one of my more recent yet highest impact DIYs for a renter, and that is peel and stick tile. The first thing you need to do is give your wall a really good clean, especially in the kitchen since this tends to be a pretty greasy and dirty area. You're also going to want to prep the space by removing things like the outlet covers. Let's commence the contact paper. Woo! My number one tip for applying peel and stick tile is to first put down a layer of removable contact paper. You don't even need to go for anything very expensive, and one roll of this is essentially removable shelf liner that you put in your cabinets, and one roll goes so far. I was able to use this roll for 2 projects, and you'll see that other project a little bit later on in this video. I just put this on the wall, not even caring if it looked very good because I knew that I was just going to be covering it up in the next step. And we are doing this extra step to act as a barrier because peel and stick tile is notorious for tearing away and damaging drywall that I just do not trust applying this product directly onto my walls. This is going to make it so that it is in fact 100% removable at move out time. So looking at this, I can already tell that I'm very happy I put down the contact paper because it's really just like foam and it doesn't really feel, it's very, very tacky. Like it doesn't feel like a removable product typically does. So I'm very happy that we did this contact paper first. Then I just started applying the peel and stick tiles one at a time. I used a level to help me guide so that I could have nice straight lines as I worked my way down the backsplash. When you get to areas like outlets, like right here, you're going to want to then template that out on the back of your peel and stick tile. You're going to have to mirror those measurements since you're cutting it out from the back. And then I'm able to just use a little craft knife to punch out the holes where those outlets are. And once I figured out the measurements and the math of it, it was relatively simple. I love these peel and stick tiles that I used here specifically because they were honestly budget friendly. I was able to do my entire kitchen for about $60, which is pretty good considering some peel and stick tiles are really expensive. So I'll be sure to link these that I use. They come in so many different colors down in the description box. A little bit of DIY makes a huge impact and totally transforms this kitchen. On the topic of peel and stick, I thought why not do a really good tutorial on how to apply peel and stick wallpaper the proper way. So just like before, we're going to need to remove all of the existing hardware, outlet covers on the wall, and then we're going to start working on our wallpaper. So I'm just going to show you what I did first, and then I'll be back in with some voiceover to explain it. That first piece, definitely a little bit challenging to put up onto the wall, but I think as we get the momentum going, I think this will get a lot easier. But it definitely was made easier with this little removable wallpaper kit that I purchased off of Amazon. I'll be sure to link this into the description box because I have installed removable wallpaper without this little squeegee set before, and this was a game changer. Okay, so what you're gonna wanna do is take a straight edge of any kind, and you're gonna use that and a craft knife to cut out your sheet of wallpaper. Then you're gonna wanna peel down a couple inches of the backing of that wallpaper and stick it up on the wall, and slowly begin working your way down the wall with that wallpaper. You can also use that craft knife to help you get the perfect shape for the wallpaper as needed. And it's just a really repetitive process. It does take a little bit of patience, and you're going to be doing a lot of squeegeeing with that little wallpaper kit like you saw there. But once you get a little bit of a system, this is really easy, and I think it just creates such a fun look. I just definitely recommend, if you're going to do peel and stick wallpaper, to read the reviews on the product to make sure you're getting something that you know will remove when it's time to take it down at move out. And as you're working, you're going to want to make sure that you're matching the pattern of the wallpaper if you have one like mine. And that means you are going to have to account for cutting off a lot of excess. And so this space took me 3 rolls of wallpaper, which I thought I could have done it in 2, but 3 was what I needed. So make sure you just get a little bit extra. You can always return what you don't use. This may be my favorite renter hack that I have ever done. It is this DIY arch, and what you're going to need to first do is measure the space that you want to put the arch in. This space in my bathroom was perfect. So in order to get that perfect arch shape, I got my pencil, a little piece of string with 2 loops on the end, and we're making a little DIY compass. So I put a little push pin into the board. You could also use a screw instead. You're gonna be seeing me use power tools here. I love my power tools. They're one of my favorite things to be able to create and DIY, but I do know that you can get a lot of these larger boards cut down at the hardware store. Now, cutting out the arch shape would be a little bit more difficult without a jigsaw if you don't have one or know someone who has one who can help you out. But I think this project could also be achievable by using something like foam core or cardboard or another type of material that you could easily cut out using a craft knife or even a pair of scissors. And I'm here to hopefully just give a little inspiration, and then you can use your creativity to however best fits what you have in your space. Now, using some nails, I added some supports to the wall that is going to hold up this arch. It's just 2 simple nails that'll be easy to remove and spackle over at move out. I'm very nervous about this part because I know this is going to be a tight fit. It's going to take some forcing, I know it. Here we go. Oh wait, I didn't take the painter's tape down. There we go. Ah! What side do I do first? So we gotta kind of get it up first. That side is pretty much on there. use this mallet. We're almost there, almost there. This isn't a lot easier than I thought it would be. It's kind of loud though. And then I used my brad nailer to also nail that arch into place, and I used some touch-up paint to cover up the nail heads so that you cannot tell where those were. If you love renter-friendly DIYs, home decor, thrifting, all of that fun stuff, then this channel is for you. I love being able to use my hands to create custom pieces to make my space feel like home. Whether or not you are renting, I feel like it is just so important to take that time to DIY and put those really special custom pieces in your space. So if that sounds like something that you love and you just want to get even more inspiration for some ideas of what to do in your own home or apartment, make sure you hit that subscribe button and follow along. All right, let's go into the next project. Now here's an easy way to hide those ugly wire shelves that I think come in pretty much every rental, and they're totally not cute, especially if you have an open shelving moment like this. Now once again, you could have your sheet of plywood cut out at the hardware store. Just make sure you know exactly your measurements, and they will cut it down on their saw there if you ask them to do it nicely, and I have used that so many times before. It is such a great thing to have, especially as a renter. And you could even use for these smaller front face pieces of the shelves, you could just use one of these box miter saws like this and cut down those boards by hand. I'm just using some wood glue and my brad nailer to attach everything together, and then letting that glue dry until it is time to give them a quick wood fill, a little bit of a sand, and then the stain. You're gonna also wanna make sure that you give these shelves at least 2 coats of polyacrylic, especially if you're going to be using them in a bathroom space like I did. You kind of go like this. Oops, that would have been really smooth if I would have got it in the first try. And like that. This is such a fun and easy hack. If you pick up one of these paper towel holders that goes underneath the cabinet from Amazon, you can add the removable peel and stick backing and then put it on the inside of your cabinet, and watch this. Instead of using it as a paper towel holder, you could use this for so many other things. I'm going to use it to hold my garbage bags underneath the sink. That way they are right there, easy to be removed, and it is so convenient. But also, these are great for holding your kitchen gloves, for washing the dishes, or you could also use it to stash your paper towels away in the cabinet so they're not seen or taking up space on the counter. If you have one of these ugly light fixtures in your apartment, which you probably do, then let's come up with an easy way to hide it. So I picked up a really cheap light fixture like this off of Amazon. It'll be linked in the description box of this video. And I removed all of the original light hardware because we're just going to be using the shade. And what you're going to want to do is remove the glass dome off your light fixture, but you're not going to have to do any hard wiring for this project, which is great, especially for me because my lease does not allow me to redo any of the light fixtures, and I was not about to violate my lease in order to make a light fixture look a little bit better. So I attached the shade just using some zip ties. I was able to slip on that bottom glass plate and then screw on the little finial that came with the light in my apartment, and it immediately transformed the look of this light fixture and went from something that was really ugly to something that just looks a little bit more modern. Speaking of lighting, another just really easy way to have a big impact on your space in your apartment is to swap out the light bulbs that your apartment came with. I know this is so simple, but by me simply removing these clear, warm light bulbs from my bathroom fixtures and replacing them with a daylight white bulb, it completely transformed the look of these and also gave me such better lighting in this space for getting ready in the morning. My apartment kitchen has this little breakfast bar area, and I thought it was the perfect blank canvas to add a pop of color into my apartment using a very renter-friendly DIY that I love this project so much because it is easy and has a high impact. So what you're going to need to do is cut down some boards. I was using some 1x4s to do this project, but we're basically creating a board and batten look on the underneath of this counter to make it feel a little bit more like an island. Again, if you don't have power tools like this, you could also hand cut all of these boards down. I have done that before in the past using one of those miter box saws. My secret weapon that I love to use, of course, are command strips. They are a renter's best friend. And just as a little hack, I like to hot glue the command strip onto the thing that I'm putting up on the wall just for some extra security, but never put the hot glue on the side of the command strip that is attaching to the wall. Otherwise, that completely defeats the purpose. So once I had all of those boards positioned, you could totally leave it like this. This is super cute. Paint the boards to match the color of the existing wall in your apartment, but I wanted to add that pop of color like I mentioned, so I actually removed all of them, leaving the backing command strip behind so I could see exactly where to apply my next step, which is removable contact paper. I applied that on following the same instructions earlier in this video about the peel and stick wallpaper, and I'm just filling in the gaps where the wall will be showing between the boards. Next, you're going to want to prime everything. This step is crucial because we're using the contact paper. It's going to make it so that the paint will stick to the contact paper. So don't skip this step. It even helps to do 2 coats of primer right here. And finally, it is time to add that pop of color, and I chose a beautiful green shade to tie in with the rest of the kitchen. And I just applied that first, cutting in all of the corners and edges with a brush, and then I was able to go in with a small roller for the rest. And I absolutely love this transformation. With just a couple hours over a weekend, I was able to really give this space a little bit of character and that pop of color it needed. Keeping with the board and batten DIYs, let's make an even simpler version from what you just saw. So I'm going to make a floor to ceiling batten look, and I'm going to first cut down my boards to fit between the top crown molding and the trim of my walls. You're just going to want to measure the space of where your boards are going to be positioned. Once those were cut down, I then painted these boards the color of the wall. Now, I didn't know exactly what color paint I needed for the wall, so what I did was create my own sample and paint match. You can see what I'm doing here. I cut out a small little square, took that into the hardware store, and they then did a color match for me. I then obviously patched over that little square that I cut out with some spackle and repainted it, but it gave me a pretty much perfect color match to these walls. And then to apply these battens, we're simply going to be using command strips, and I'm doing the same thing again, hot gluing them down onto the boards and then applying them up on the wall. This is just a really easy way to add some sort of detail or something to draw your eye to in your apartment. I definitely recommend this project. Throughout this entire video, I've been mentioning a lot of products and items that I really love and use, and I especially recommend for renters. Those are gonna all be linked down in the description box, along with a link to my Amazon storefront where I share even more renter-friendly products, home decor, and the DIY tools that I love to use. So if you're curious after watching this video about anything that you see me use here, you can find that all in the description box. Another one of my favorite tips to elevate a space without doing too much and not spending too much money is swapping out hardware. I feel like the renter/builder grade hardware that comes in any apartment is really not that cute, and I just think it could be so much more. And so you could easily swap out the knobs and drawer pulls throughout your apartment. Then all you have to do is make sure you save the original ones so that you can put them back up later. Along with replacing the hardware for your drawers and cabinets, you can also replace the other types of hardware in your apartment, like the towel bars and this hand towel rack. I was able to replace those with new ones that just fit the style that I was bringing into the space a little bit more. Again, I stashed away the original bars just in the back of my vanity, and I'll be able to take all of the new hardware that I swapped it out for with me from apartment to apartment. Doing this faux shiplap look totally transformed my bedroom, and it was very easy to do. So what I did was head out to the hardware store and picked up these big sheets of shiplap. They are 8 foot tall, so I had them cut them down to size so that I could fit them in the back of my car and take them home. Once I got there, we're once again doing my favorite command strip hack. I love this. It is just my favorite way to transform an apartment is with command strips. They are just so versatile for more than just hanging up art on the wall. They do so much, and I have never had a problem with them coming down. And also, as long as you do all of the proper steps, like cleaning the wall first, you are guaranteed they will remove just fine as long as you're patient and careful. I applied all of these shiplap panels up on the wall. I did have to cut around some of the different things on my wall, like the outlets and my window, so this is definitely an easier project if you have just a plain blank wall to work with and maybe just a couple outlets to cut around. And since the bed was covering up where those outlets are, I really didn't care how nice and neat that it looked, so that's why you see these big gaps. What I have right here are my shelf boards. I have 2 different sizes. This is a 1x4, that is going to be the top of the shelf. And then I have a 1x3, that's going to be the front facing panel of the shelf that's gonna go here. Now, I noticed that this is 9 foot, and 9 foot's not gonna fit in my car. So I got 6 foot boards, and we're just gonna have to piece them together. Let's piece them together. With the boards prepped, I'm then moving on to the priming and painting step. I'm using a gray tinted primer here because it's going to make it a little bit easier when I apply the paint color. To attach the shelves to the walls while making minimal damage, since this is an apartment, I used a stud finder to find where the studs were and marked those. Then I was able to just use a drywall screw to drill directly into the wall. This is just going to make a really tiny hole, not much bigger than what a nail hole would make, and I'm going to be able to spackle right over it at move out. That's perfectly level. No, this is not possible. What is like the odds that this is possible? I guess we just screw in the other sides. Now I did add a shelf to that top board and also this faux gallery rail. You're gonna have to check out the full video where I did this if you want the step-by-step instructions for that. I'll be sure to link that in the description box, but hopefully this gives you enough inspiration to try something like this in your own apartment. Now, if a command strip or command hook is just not going to cut it for whatever you're hanging, for instance, hanging up a mirror, and you don't want to put a giant hole in the wall for an anchor, well then, this 3M claw clip is incredible. I purchased these and they're totally a game changer for renters. I can't do it. Maybe I'm not strong enough. I bet you could do it.
Yeah, you want me to?
Yeah.
Right.
You might have firmer thumbs than me. As you can see, I did have to call in a little bit of help to push them into the wall. I didn't quite have enough strength, apparently. Now here's the moment of truth. Let's see if this will hold. These claw clips are great and I think can replace using a screw and anchor for so many future projects. On the topic of mirrors, adding a mirror to your apartment can make a huge difference. Apartments tend to not really have a ton of windows. They're usually all along one wall, and you're lucky if you get good natural daylight. So if you add a mirror to some of those areas that are feeling a little bit dark, they'll bounce that light around the room and make it feel bigger and a lot more light and airy. Now, if you have a builder grade mirror like this one throughout your apartment, here's an easy way to add a little bit more character to it. You're going to need to measure the mirror first, and then I picked out a decorative trim piece that I liked. You can do whatever fits your style. I cut them to the size of the mirror that I needed using a 90-degree miter. Again, you could use that miter box if you don't have power tools, and used wood glue and clamps to hold everything together until it dried. You can stain or paint the frame however you like, but you are going to want to make sure that you paint the back of the frame, at least part of it, with some black paint because it will reflect in the mirror otherwise. And I'm just using some black command strips to adhere this right up to the mirror. I'm just going to stick it right onto the mirror. These will come right on down from the mirror when it's time to move out. I did look it up. Command strips do work for applying to glass and will remove when it's time to move out. I've been sharing so many different DIYs, ideas, and solutions throughout this video, but do you have a room in your apartment that you feel like you're not really sure what to do with it and maybe need some ideas on how to transform it yourself? Drop that down in the comments. And if you're enjoying this video so far, learned something new, liked any of these projects, don't forget to give this video a like. Another renter-friendly way to hide some ugly cords and cables around your apartment is by getting a cord cover, but instead of using that foam adhesive that comes on the back of it, you can peel that off and then just use command strips instead. I was lucky the off-white color strip matched my wall perfectly, but if it doesn't match the color of your wall, you're able to also paint these, which is fantastic because, like you could see here with this accent wall, I was able to paint it the exact same color. You would never be able to guess that the backdrop of my craft room is renter friendly. If you want to do this for yourself, you're going to want to find the studs on the wall. And now I'm going to be using some 1x2 furring strips and just drilling a drywall screw right through them and into that stud. This is going to create the smallest hole possible and also be able to support the weight of the shiplap. Now, to make this fully removable, I'm going to drill in certain pieces of the shiplap into those furring strips, and other ones I'm going to nail in. And that's just because I want to be able to have access to those screws that I put in, so that this will come down kind of as one big piece at move out time. But as you can see, there's no holes going to the wall except for those like 8 little holes that I put in for the furring strips. So this is really minimal. Like, this is less holes that you'd put in the wall than if you were putting up, let's say, a gallery wall to decorate the space. I added some trim just to clean everything up, especially around the ceiling. And as you can see, I created only a partial wall, but you could totally do this as a full wall of shiplap as well. But I wanted to do a faux built-in look. If you want to see how I created these faux built-in shelves and how I used just some pre-made bookcases in order to do it, you can watch the full video that's linked in the description box, along with all the other videos and products that I've mentioned throughout this one. It is time to paint. Now, for this process, I went back and forth a lot with the color that I wanted to choose. And as I was going through paint chips, I came across what I would say, the perfect color for my backdrop. And that's because the color I picked out is quite literally called Perfect Backdrop. This took me a couple coats of paint to get the walls and the bookcases covered completely, but the impact is amazing. I am just in love with this look. You see it in the back of so many of my videos, and I'm just proud of myself for doing something that's going to come down and be super removable when it's move out time, and so easy to patch up those little tiny holes. It'll be like it never happened. I get asked this question a lot. How do you keep rugs over carpet looking nice and smooth and bump free? And the trick is by using a high quality rug pad. I will honestly spend a little bit more on the rug pad than I would the rug, not only because these are super removable and they'll last for years and years, they make such a big difference if you want to add an area rug to your space, even if you do have carpet like I do throughout my entire apartment. An easy way to hide any open closets or doorways that you don't really want to see is by hanging a curtain to hide it. And to make it even more renter friendly, using a tension rod means you don't have to put any holes in the wall. I got this tension rod off of Amazon. It might honestly be for a shower, but it works great for what I'm doing here. And I added on a floor to ceiling length curtain to match my decor, and I was able to cover up this closet because honestly, I'm super unorganized and I didn't like seeing the chaos of the inside of my closet every single day. So this hides it and also kind of acts as a door when you don't have one. Here is a really fun little DIY project that you can do to add a little extra charm to your apartment. I'm using some outlet plates that I picked up from the hardware store, and I'm first priming them just so that they have a really good base for me to work with. For this first outlet plate, I really wanted to create a fun floral design inspired by this picture right here. I really loved the look of this, but I wanted to put my own spin on it, of course, and make it for something to match in my kitchen. So I penciled on my design and then went in with a bunch of acrylic paints to fill it in. I just had a lot of fun with this and let my creativity flow as I was doing it. Just as a final step, you're going to want to make sure you seal that paint in. I used a clear gloss coat of spray paint. So this one right here is one of my favorite types of outlet covers that are awesome for renters. If you can see, the plate covers the entire outlet so that if you have, let's say, the really ugly outdated beige style outlets, you slap one of these on and you can't even tell that that's there. And I want to do something inspired by this picture right here. So I have some really cute trim and one of my favorite little tools, which are these miter shears, which are always so useful for cutting down small trim pieces. After I cut my trim down, I'm using some E6000 glue to attach it to the outlet just so it gets a good bond to that plastic surface. And then I'm going to take this outside, I'm going to prime it as well, and then spray it with some gold spray paint after that primer dried. I then brought that outlet plate inside and used some watered down black paint to kind of fill in the different relief of this outlet plate to give a kind of look of some antique brass. And it just took some layering. It was a little bit of a process, but super easy to do. And I just love how both of these turned out. Now that you're done watching this video, I recommend checking out this one right here for even more DIY renter-friendly inspiration. And that's everything I have for you in this video. I'll see you on my next one. Bye!